Welcome everyone to ASI Fundamentals of Club Accounts. This training is part of the core workshop for the club treasurer. The agenda for today includes several processes of our financial forms. We will be going over the most important aspects of club finance management. ASI is a separate non-profit entity that operates with the CPP campus. ASI follows the same rules as CPP that are handed down from the Chancellor's office. The company is governed by student leadership team. If you enjoy or want to learn more about governing and volunteering, this is a great opportunity. ASI employs over 500 people, of which about 450 are students. This concludes the end of first part. On the next clip, we will look into account basics and account registration. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to the second part of the video where we will discuss the basics and how to get started. We will begin our training by going over account basics, the explanation of each fund. All clubs should have at least 1 to 3 accounts. The first account is called an ASI account and begins with a number 17. Funds from this account are obtained by submitting a budget request to your council. You cannot make deposits into this account. The funds are restricted and can only be used for expenses listed on your budget. The second account is called your agency club account. An agency account begins with a number 3 followed by a letter and 4 numbers. The funds from this account are self-generated revenue from membership dues, sponsorships, and fundraisers. Any club member can make a deposit into this account. Funds can be used to make purchases for any club expenses that are not listed on your budget. The third account is called the donation account and starts with a number 5 followed by a letter and 4 numbers. This account maintains all funds from club donations and profit sharing. Donations checks can be dropped off at financial services but will need to be processed by the gift processing department. You can withdraw funds from these accounts by filling out a disbursement request form, which we discuss in the next few slides. Councils only have 2 accounts. Their first account begins with a 15 and is for operating expenses. The other account begins with 16 and is for club allocations. Everyone who is attending this training is in the process of registering with the Office of Student Engagement, Leadership and Success. For information on the registration process, please contact SELS at cpp.edu. The next step is to fill out the account registration form to access your club accounts. The account registration form is available on the Financial Services website. The form must be filled out by the club president. Only one form is required per group at the start of every fiscal year. Please be sure to fill out all of the boxes, including the purpose of account, types of expenditure and sources of income. You will also need to list a non-profit or charitable organization you would like to donate your funds to if your account is inactive for 2 consecutive years. You do not need to have an established relationship with the organization. Another section to note is to confirm if your organization has an off-campus bank account. Monies collected in the name of the student organization must be maintained in an ASI agency account. Cal Poly Pomona does not allow student organizations to maintain off-campus bank accounts. Exceptions to the on-campus banking requirement and other funds administration rules may be granted by the University Chief Financial Officer, CFO, on a case-by-case basis. At no time shall a student organization deposit funds into an unauthorized bank account, which includes electronic fund transfer applications like Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle. Because these platforms currently require the account to be linked to the account holder's bank account, they are considered off-campus bank accounts. Once you complete the form, you will receive a confirmation email once the form is reviewed and processed by our team. You will not be able to access your club account or funds without this form. Now that your account is all set up, you can begin accessing your funds. The first form we will cover is called the Purchase Order Request Form. A purchase order is used to set money aside in your account to make a large purchase or to place an order for on-campus vendors such as CPP Catering. A purchase order form is also required if your purchase is $5,000 or more. A purchase order is not used to pay a vendor or request reimbursement. The purchase order is important to the vendor because it ensures that the vendor will be paid for their services. A PO can be submitted through OnBase and takes about 3 business days to be processed. You will need to attach a quote and flyer or list of attendees on your request. A PO is required for all on-campus vendors, such as Kellogg West, Subway, room rentals in the BSC, prints and services, etc. Funds are automatically deducted from your account after a PO is processed for on-campus vendors only. If you are using an external vendor, you will need to submit a disbursement request form after the service is completed or items have been received. The turnaround time for a PO is 3 business days after your advisor approves the form. Incomplete forms will be returned. The next form we will go over is called a disbursement request form. A disbursement request form is used to reimburse an individual, request a cash advance, or pay a vendor. A disbursement request form must be submitted by a student officer and approved by the advisor. The processing schedule for a DR is 1 week. Payments are typically processed every Thursday the following week after they are approved by your club advisor. If you are submitting a disbursement request, you will need to attach an itemized receipt, proof of payment and flyer or list of attendees. If you are paying a vendor directly, you will need to attach an invoice. As part of your reimbursement request, you will need to attach supporting documents. You must provide an itemized receipt and proof of payment for reimbursement requests. An itemized receipt indicates the items that were purchased and the total. If you have an online receipt, please make sure the items are marked as delivered. Paid invoices must indicate a paid-off balance. You will also need to provide proof of payment, which can be a bank statement showing the payee's full name and the processed transaction, or a copy of the card with the payee's name and last 4 digits of the card visible on the receipt. Please use an editing tool to block out account numbers, leaving only the last 4 digits. The last 4 digits is enough to verify the account belongs to the card person. If you have paid with cash, your receipt will need to indicate that information. If you paid with a check, you can attach a copy of the cancelled check and a copy of your bank statement. If you email or submit information without hiding the majority of the account number, you are putting yourself at risk unnecessarily. Emails can be hacked, so emailing information without hiding full account numbers is not recommended. This concludes the end of the second part of the video. On the next clip, we will discuss OnBase workflow and campus reporting of fiscal improprieties.
Welcome back. On this part, we will demonstrate some critical elements of OnBase and provide a walkthrough, so let's move on. In this video, I will show you how to submit a form through OnBase. Let us show you how to submit a disbursement request through OnBase. A disbursement request form is used to request reimbursement for paying a club expense or to pay a vendor directly. You're going to go to ASI's main page, navigate to Club Services, Financial Report. Once you are on the financial support page, you can scroll down to browse financial forms and instructions, and then scroll down to accessing your funds. You can click on Disbursement Request Prepare link, and it will take you to OnBase, where you have to enter your CPP credentials and log in. If your CPP credentials are locked or don't work, please contact us at asifs@cpp.edu for further assistance. This is the disbursement request form. On the first box, it will ask you for travel information. If this is a reimbursement or we are paying a vendor, you can just select no. If you select yes, it will ask you for the authorization number, which you receive after your trip or your off-campus event is approved. For this example, I'm going to select No. On the next box, it will ask you for the account number, which is your club's account number. And the fund and account name should automatically populate. Just confirm this is the correct club name and the object code. I'm going to put 8000 in the description for the object code is general expenses for clubs. If this is travel related, you should select 8288 for in-state travel or 8289 for out-of-state travel. And then on the next box, it will ask you for the payee information or who you want to make the check payable to. The first question asked if you are the payee. If you are the payee, you should not be filling out your own reimbursement request. The reimbursement request should be filled out by your president or your treasurer. I'm going to select No on this option. And then the next question asked if this is a cash advance. Cash advance is used to borrow money from the account to pay for a club expense and then return the receipts after. If you are requesting reimbursement or paying a vendor, you can select No for this question. And then you can go ahead and enter your payee's name and mailing address. This is the information that's going to print on the check. We also need to have the payee's phone number just in case we have any questions about the request. And then you can select to have the check picked up in our office or mailed. On the next box, it will ask you for the purpose, justification of expense, or event information. You want to try and be as detailed as possible. I'm going to put supplies for social and the event date. And then on the next box, you'll have to list out all the expenses that were made. If you are requesting reimbursement, you don't need to fill out the PO number or invoice number. This is only if we are paying a vendor directly. And then you can list out the amount of the expense. The budget line number is only used if you are requesting funds from your ASI account or your IRA account, and you can get this information directly from your budget request form. If you want to split the amount between two different accounts, you can select alternate account number and you can list the second account number and the second object code and just make sure your total does match the receipt total. On the next box, it will ask you to attach documents related to the disbursement request form. Please only attach PDF or JPEG format. For reimbursements, you can attach your itemized receipt and your proof of payment, which is either a picture of your card with the last 4 digits and payee's name visible or a bank statement showing the transaction and the payee's full name visible. You also need to attach a flyer or a list of attendees if you are requesting reimbursement for food. If you are paying a vendor directly, you can just attach the invoice. You can also add any comments if you need to add additional information or have any questions for your advisor or the accounts payable team. And then lastly, you'll have to enter your email address, your phone number in the case we have any questions. And you can also add a second person to receive notifications through the process. Lastly, you have to certify that all items have been received or services have been performed, and then click on Save and Submit. Once you submit the form, you'll receive a confirmation in your inbox, which you can use to track the status of your disbursement request form. The form will route to your advisor for approval, and then once the advisor approves, it will route to financial services for further review. If everything is correct and we are not missing any information, your check will be processed within 1 week. If we have additional requests, you'll also receive a notification to submit additional information. If you have any questions throughout the process, you can email us at asifs@cpp.edu. Now that you are more familiar with how to use OnBase, you can successfully submit forms to access your club funds. Some important information to remember: disbursement requests and payment orders must be submitted through OnBase. An authorized student signer must submit the form and the advisor must approve the form. Incomplete forms will be returned to the preparer. You are now set to begin reimbursing your club members and paying your vendors within a timely manner. If you suspect fraudulent or dishonest acts within your organization, you should immediately report it. Fiscal improprieties include embezzlement, theft, or fraud not only by a CPP student, staff, or faculty, but also by external parties. Actions that result in loss of assets should be reported to the Director of Internal Audit. If you want to know more, please visit our Smart Spending Guide located under the training library of our website. You can also connect at asifs@cpp.edu for more information. To receive your reimbursements sooner, you can enroll in direct deposit. Our payment processing schedule is typically every Thursday, so payment can be received as soon as 1 to 2 business days after. You will need to email asifs@cpp.edu to request the enrollment form. For tax reasons, financial services must keep track of prizes and rewards. This information is reported to an auditor. Prizes and awards received by a person that amounts to over $600 must be reported to the IRS as income. You can access the form on our website and email it to asifs@cpp.edu for further processing. A vendor data record is our version of a W-9 form. We require a vendor data record for all external vendors who are providing a service. We also require the form if an individual received prizes and awards that amount to over $50 in value. A new vendor data record is required to be submitted annually unless the individual is making any changes to their tax filing info. A 1099 form will be issued to the vendor if they have received $600 or more in payment within a calendar year. You could email asifs@cpp.edu to request the vendor data record template. Next, we will go over cash advances, which can be used when you are not able to pay for an expense using personal funds. Please keep in mind this is not free money, and receipts are required as proof of purchase. If you use the funds for personal items, you will be required to pay back the funds to ASI. For that reason, we strongly encourage you not to intermingle personal funds with ASI funds. Keep the money separate in an envelope so that you can keep track. There are 2 types of advances. The first is called a cash advance, and the limit is $500 a person. Receipts must be returned within 10 business days after the purchase is made. The second is called a travel advance, and is used to pay for expenses related to an off-campus event, such as a conference. Similar to a cash advance, receipts are required after the purchase is made. Any unused funds must be deposited back into the account. To request an advance, you can submit a disbursement request form in OnBase and attach quotes or estimates and a flyer of the event. This concludes the end of this part of the video. On the next video, we will discuss some critical forms and other important procedures.
On this part, we will discuss the procedures to follow for travel plans. So let's move on. Are you planning to attend an off-campus event soon? The number one issue that students run into is not completing a travel packet. All off-campus events, including conferences, field trips, and banquets, are considered travel and will require approval from ASI, SELS, and for out-of-state trips, Dean of Students approval. If you are requesting reimbursement, you must have an ASI travel packet on file at least 10 business days before event. There are multiple steps, so you must plan ahead. Here is an infographic of the steps to complete a travel authorization request. Give yourself several days or weeks to gather all the signatures and information to submit a complete travel packet. The travel authorization form must be filled out for the individual who is traveling, or you can submit one for group travel. Please be sure to list out which account number you will be using to fund the event. The form must be signed by the advisor. If you are traveling with a group, you can fill out the list of travelers. Be sure to list out their full names and CPP email addresses. If your advisor is attending the event, they will also need to provide their Concur travel approval form. If a participant is not listed on the form, they may not request reimbursement for travel expenses. Make sure that all attendees have filled out and signed the release of liability waiver. Do not leave campus without completing this form. This ensures that the campus will not be held liable for any injuries or accidents that occur at your event. Lastly, you will need to give a breakdown of the event cost. The figures, amounts listed do not have to be exact, but as close as possible is best. Including quotes with this form is desired, but not mandatory. If your estimate exceeds your club funding, then you will only be able to request funding for the amount that is available in your account. You can email your travel packet to asifs@cpp.edu for further review and to receive a travel authorization number. You can reference this number on your reimbursement request. After the conclusion of your event, you will need to submit a travel expense claim form within 10 business days. The travel expense claim form is a summary of all of your expenses. If you are not requesting any reimbursement, please be sure to follow up with financial services. If you need to request reimbursement, you will need to submit a disbursement request and attach your receipts, proof of payment and travel expense claim form. You can also request reimbursement for mileage. You will need to submit a copy of Google Maps with your starting and ending location and proof of car insurance. Insurance must be valid within the dates traveled. If you are traveling out of the country, you will need to submit a different set of travel forms. Additional approval is required to travel abroad. The international travel packet must be signed by the ASI Executive Director, Dean of Students and the University Risk Manager. This takes time, so please plan ahead. We suggest giving yourself 3 months to prepare all of the documents. The checklist includes an international travel packet, liability waivers, list of attendees and emergency contact information. We also require flight and hotel information and proof of risk management insurance. All forms must be emailed to asifs@cpp.edu for review and processing. The forms must be signed by the ASI Executive Director, VP of Dean of Students, and Risk Management. Please be sure to plan ahead or you may not be able to be reimbursed for travel expenses. The Financial Services website has all the forms you need, and this includes the Smart Spending Manual, which explains forms and processes in detail. The Smart Spending Manual is found under the Training Library section of our website. We would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, please email us at asifs@cpp.edu or visit us on the second floor of the Bronco Student Center. We are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This concludes the basics of learning about the fundamentals of Club Account. Thank you for watching.